All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for coming to our information buffet today. We're going to be talking about summer meals, specifically the seamless summer option, summer food service program, and extended school year NSLP. And just for some housekeeping, we will be recording this webinar and we'll post it on our YouTube channel probably by the end of this week, as well as sending out the slides so you guys can have all the links that are in the presentation. So today we're just going to do a general overview of all the summer meal options for schools, the eligibility to operate each program, the types of meal service such as congregate and non-congregate, and the application requirements for all the different programs. So you will see this Sun Meals logo throughout the presentation, and Sun Meals is really just the overarching term for summer meals. And the next slide will explain the different meal options. So Sun Meals, also known as the Summer Food Service Program or SFSP, offers free meals and snacks at schools, parks, community centers, or other eligible locations. SFSP is ideal if you are sponsoring an enrichment, recreational, or activity program over the summer. Sun Meals to Go, also referred to as non-congregate meals, offered through SFSP, allows certain rural areas to distribute nutritious meals to kids outside of the typically required group or congregate setting. So the National School Lunch Program and Breakfast Program are available for any school that is hosting an academic summer school. Schools will serve meals only to enrolled students and follow the same rules and claiming procedures as a regular school year for free, reduced price, and paid meals. SSO, or the Seamless Summer Option, offers school food authorities operating the National School Lunch Program or Breakfast Program a streamlined option by providing summer meals, just continuing to follow several of the same operational requirements, such as the NSLP and the breakfast meal patterns, and the same procedures for filing claims as you would during the normal school year. So you might be asking yourself, what programs is or are my school or then my district eligible to operate? So we'll start by talking it with extended school year NSLP. So to qualify to operate ESY, the school must be operating, like I said, an academic summer school program. If the program is voluntary, or if it's a summer enrichment program or a camp, it's not considered an academic summer school. And as always, if you're unsure if your site qualifies to run this program, just please contact our office and we can always talk through it. So here's the eligibility to operate SSO or SFSP. So there are multiple types of sites that may provide SFSP or SSO meals, and the requirements for determining and documenting eligibility are different just depending on what type of site you're looking to operate. So there are different types of sites. They include open sites, restricted open sites, closed enrolled, day or residential camps, migrant sites, and conditional non-congregate sites. So on this slide, you can see the explanation of just open sites, restricted open, and then that closed enrolled. And then here is just a further description of camps, migrant, and conditional non-congregate. And I will go into more detail on each of these site types in the next few slides. So new for this summer, returning and prospective SFSP or SSO sites will complete the 2026 summer site eligibility request form. And this will help the state agency in determining what site types the school or site may be able to apply for. If you want to apply and do not have access to this form or haven't seen it yet, please reach out to the nutrition email, which you can see right on the slides here. And then once this form is completed, our office will provide the site with a Sun Meal site eligibility document to use for the summer. And this will state what site type you are approved for, how the site is eligible, and the qualification year. So the SFSP or SSO site can use this document when completing the application. And we did it this way this year just to make it a little bit easier for all you guys to determine eligibility and make the process a lot more streamlined. And here's just a screenshot of the site eligibility form that qualifying sites will receive from our office. And if the site qualifies as rural, you will also receive a Sun Meals rural eligibility documentation. And if you just have general questions about if you're able to operate, you can just send us an email. You don't have to submit this form, and we can talk it through before you do submit that form. And just as a reminder, or if it might be new news for some people, once a site establishes eligibility, it is valid for 5 years. So the only caveat to this is that the site must continue to operate SSO or SFSP for the eligibility to remain active over the 5 year period, unless that site does requalify during one of the years. So now we'll go into more detail about site types. So for open sites, so an open site must be located in a school attendance area where 50% or more of the children residing in that area are eligible for free or reduced price meals. A site can also be eligible if it is within a census tract that qualifies. And at an open site, each child may receive up to 2 reimbursable meals each day. And when I say census tract, the area eligibility mapper from USDA, which I linked on this slide, that will tell you if that site is eligible. It'll be shaded green. That's what that use of that mapper is for. So restricted open sites, these are meal sites in low-income areas that may limit attendance to address space, security, safety, or control issues. And a restricted open site provides meals in an area in which poor economic conditions exist to children on a first come, first served basis. So a restricted open site must also meet the same eligibility requirements as an open site. This site type is not commonly used. It's usually an open site that will then turn to restricted open because of issues with space, security, or safety. Closed enrolled sites are sites that serve groups of low-income children who sign up to receive program meals. And closed enrolled sites are only open to enrolled children, as opposed to open to the community at large, like open sites are. Sponsors of closed enrolled sites must establish that at least 50% of the children enrolled at the site are eligible for free or reduced price meals or be in an area eligible location. So a non-residential day camp is a meal site that offers a regularly scheduled meal service as part of the organized program for enrolled children. And the camp must provide a continuous schedule of organized cultural or recreational programs for enrolled children between meal services. And with state agency approval, a day camp can claim reimbursement for up to 3 meals per day for eligible children. And camps are reimbursed only for meals that are served to children who are determined eligible to be free or reduced. And a day camp may charge non-eligible children a separate fee for meals. Residential camps, very similar to day camps. In a residential camp, the children spend the duration of the organized program in a 24-hour supervised care setting. And the same thing with state agency approval, a residential camp can claim reimbursement for up to 3 meals per day for eligible children. And camps, residential and day, are only reimbursed for meals served to children who are determined eligible for free or reduced price meals. And migrant sites, not a typical site we see in New Hampshire, but I still wanted to highlight it. These are sites where majority of the children receiving meals are from families of migrant workers. And a migrant site would operate like an area eligible open or restricted open site and receives reimbursement for meals served to all children attending that site. And to confirm migrant status, the sponsor must submit information obtained from a migrant organization. So conditional non-congregate. These are they're rural sites with no congregate meal service that are not camps and are not located in areas in which poor economic conditions exist. So this type of site qualifies for participation because it conducts a non-congregate meal service for children in rural areas who are eligible for free or reduced price meals, but it's not located in an area in which poor economic conditions exist and it's not eligible as a camp. This site can be a little confusing, so if you have questions about this site, just reach out to our office and we can always check it out. And I did just want to highlight this one requirement. So if a sponsor administers the program at a site that provides summer school sessions, it must ensure that these sites are open to children enrolled in summer school and to all children residing in the area served by the site. So kind of to summarize that, if your school is operating a summer school program, but you want to be a closed enrolled site, that most likely is not going to work. You're most likely going to have to be open if you're eligible for that because of that summer school. So now we'll talk more about non-congregate meal service. So non-congregate meal service is when meals are provided for children to consume all of the components off-site. Non-congregate meal service must only be operated at sites designated as rural with no congregate meal service. And like I mentioned earlier, our office will provide the site with documentation if it qualifies as rural, so you will know if you're qualified to do non-congregate meal service. So here are the different types of non-congregate meal service. For multi-day meal issuance, this refers to non-congregate meals where multiple days worth of meals are provided at one time, whether unitized as individual meals or comprised of bulk items. Bulk meal components refer to food items that are provided in larger quantities than required for a single meal service, such as a gallon of milk or a full box of cereal. And it is important to note that if you are contracting with a food service management company, the site must provide multi-day unitized meals. You can't provide everything in bulk. And additionally, approved sponsors can distribute meals to parents or guardians to take home to their children. Sponsors choosing to do this option must have documented procedures in place to ensure that meals are only distributed to parents or guardians of eligible children and that duplicate meals are not distributed to any children. So now we'll go into more detail about reimbursement rates for each program. So the reimbursement rates for extended school year, ESY, and seamless summer option are the same as they are for the National School Lunch Program. So for ESY, meals are reimbursed per student eligibility, so free, reduced, and paid. And for SSO, meals are reimbursed at the federal free rate. And these are just a view of the reimbursement rates right now. These will increase July 1, 2026. They just haven't been published yet. And you can see that the federal free rate for lunch, so if you're claiming lunch under SSO, is $4.71. And then here are the summer food service program rates, which you can see the reimbursement rate is higher than the free rate that you would get with SSO. So what are the different meal patterns among the programs? So the SFSP meal pattern is a little bit more flexible than the NSLP meal pattern, and sites can serve two meal types per day at each site in any combination, other than supper and lunch on the same day, except if you're operating a camp or a migrant site. And I did link the meal pattern in here, so when the slides are sent out, you can look at it a little bit closer. And then for ESY and SSO, the sites will follow the same NSLP meal pattern. And SSO sites can serve up to two meals per day at each site in any combination, again, other than supper and lunch on the same day, except for those camp and migrant sites. For ESY, the sites can serve breakfast, lunch, and after-school snack. So the application process for each program and the deadlines that you should be aware of. So here's for SFSP, so you must complete a separate application in My NHDOE. So the application process for SFSP is a little bit more in-depth than it would be for SSO or ESY. There are also mandatory virtual trainings that must be completed, which you can see from the screenshot on this slide. And the first review of the application is due by May 15th, and this is the state agency deadline. And then that final application must be submitted by June 15th, and that's a federal due date for the SFSP application. Just keep in mind that failure to submit your application by June 15th, it might result in your inability to participate in the program. So keep these deadlines written down so you have them. For extended school year and SSO, so there will be a paper application and it will require an amendment to your current NSLP application. So the paper application is fairly straightforward. It's 2 pages, just putting general information in there. And once a site has applied, either myself or somebody else in our office will give you further instruction on completing the amendment in my NHDOE. It's really just amending dates, uploading the approved paper application, and just making sure you're all set. And again, same due dates. First review is due May 15th for that state agency due date. And then that final application must be submitted by June 15th to meet the federal due date. So for next steps and just some reminders, so decide which program the district or the site will and is eligible to operate. And if you have any questions about eligibility, you can fill out that request form or contact our office. There's our nutrition email again. You can contact that nutrition email with any questions that you have. And then for all summer feeding programs, regardless of which program you're looking to operate, the district must have it written into their food service management company contract prior to the application being approved. So you can contact Tammy in our office with any questions about your contract regarding summer feeding, or you can contact that nutrition email and we can get that question over to Tammy. And then I did just link some resources. When you guys have the slides, you'll be able to click on these and have access to them. And thank you again. Any questions? There's the nutrition email. You can also contact myself and I can help you as best as possible. I'll hang out here for a few more minutes and see if there's any questions in the Q&A box.